Imagine that you're tied to the front, to the back, to the side, to the other side, from top and bottom. You're delegating to your people. If you have enough people to delegate your people and keep it in a way that your mind is fresh. The 4 fatal management errors. That is what I'm talking about today. What are the 4 fatal errors? By the end of this video, I'm going to talk about this error and about this particular error, and I'm going to talk about something called NTA, Net Task Addition. This is a critical thing that you really need to understand in order for your team to be successful. Let's get started. The number 1 biggest fatal management error that business owners and entrepreneurs make is not managing themselves and their task to zero. What does that mean? It means that they don't have a self-management. They have dragons growing all around them. What does that mean? Dragons growing all around them. Imagine there is a dragon in your room, and this dragon is really tiny. It's really tiny, and you think that, oh my gosh, it's no big deal. And the dragon becomes slightly bigger. And then you're like, oh, it grew a little bit. And then it becomes the size of a dog. And then you're like, oh, it's slightly big. And then dragon ate your food. It's bigger than a crocodile now. Now it's becoming a full dinosaur in a second. This is exactly what happens to CEOs. What does that mean? It means that they are doing a lot of things and they are forgetting things and they are making some promises and they are telling people, I'll do this thing, and they're telling team, I'll do that thing. They're telling their friends, their family, so many commitments, and it's not getting done. It is not getting done. So it creates an open loop. It creates stress in their body because we promised something, it didn't happen. Your brain is like, I need to keep thinking about this thing. And because it needs to keep thinking about it, it's stressing you out. Make sense? So that is why it's really important to handle the dragon. Handle the dragon. As soon as you see a small dragon, you handle it. What does that mean? It means that there might be a team member that you need to fire. Maybe you need to fire them. There is a client that you need to call. You need to call them. There is a client that has an issue. Don't wait until it becomes a dragon. You handle it right then and there. Otherwise, what is going to happen is you will start growing these dragons all around you. And then you cannot move around. Imagine that you're tied to the front, to the back, to the side, to the other side, from top and bottom into like 4 different trees and to somewhere else on the top, like to a bar on the top and another bar on the bottom. Then you are like trying to move your body and you cannot move your body. Why? Because you're tied up. You are tied up. You're tied up by way too many tasks. You're tied up with way too many things to do. You're tied up with anxiety, with stress, with overwhelm, with burnout. You're getting tired. You don't get enough vacation. And even if you get vacation, you're thinking about your work all the time. When you're trying to buy bread, you're thinking about work. When you're at work, you're thinking about buying the bread. This is what I call as a human chaos. We need to get out of it by managing their self and managing the task to zero. Which means that imagine you have an inbox, an email, where your number of emails is 0. The number of to-do lists is 0. The number of things that you need to do is 0. You don't have anything in your head. You're fresh to create. Imagine a world like that, where you don't, and you're like, oh no, I don't have a to-do list. Oh, then you do have a to-do list, my friend. Why? Because your to-do list is in your head. You don't know that. There is a to-do list of getting things done for the family. There is a to-do list of getting things done for the work, for the team, for making money, for the investment, for getting a loan. You have a to-do list, whether you know it or not. Maybe it's not in paper, but there is a to-do list. By the way, the to-do list in your head is worse than the to-do list on a paper, just to let you know. There are so much psychology behind it, but I need to get moving. So bring your to-do list to 0. What does that mean? You're delegating to your people. If you have enough people to delegate your people and keep it in a way that your mind is fresh. You don't have anything that you need to be paying attention to. Anything that you commit to, you are giving it to people. When you have a conversation with somebody in your team, you always end the conversation with them having an action. As a CEO, with them having an action, not you having an action. Every time you get on a call on a meeting or anything, you walk away with action most of the time because you are the one with the initiative. It's your company. I have to do something. Yeah, this is the thing that you need to do. The whole concept of a president in a democracy. What does the president do? In US or India or any democracy that has a president, what do they do? They just sit around and imagine. They figure it out things. They create a vision for the country. That's what you're going to do. You create a vision for your company by being there, being free, having the time to think, to imagine, to visionize for the company. Of course, I'm making up this word. You got it? Moving to the second point. I got really excited there. So let's get to the second point. Teach your managers to manage themselves and their tasks to zero. What does that mean? It means now you're not only managing yourself and not only managing your tasks, you're teaching your managers how to effectively delegate, effectively manage their people so that their task is getting closer to zero. It's not going to get to zero, but closer to zero. What does that mean? Because anytime that you have a task, what are the questions that most people are asking? They're asking, what do I need to do now? And if you're really good, you'll be asking, how do I do this? How do I do this? And if you want to be really, really good, if you want to build a phenomenal company, this is what you do. You ask question, who can do this for me? Who can do this for me? And you do that, and you keep on asking, who in my senior team can do it for me? Which of my VP can support me? What director can support me on this one? And you teach your managers to do the same, which is the second principle. Like I said, on the fourth principle, I'll talk about a specific thing that is really important for your company to scale. If you want to have a really, really ambitious goal about growing your company in the next 10 years to a big level, whatever that big level is, you will get answers today with the fourth secret. But coming to the point is get your managers to be free. You're not overloading them with tasks, so you feel good about yourself as a manager, as a CEO. Instead, get them to be free so that they could think with you. When you need something important to be done, they will do it with you. Moving to the third point, which is create a self-management peer group. Create self-managing peer group. What does that mean? It means that anybody who is in conversation, anybody, when somebody is delegating something, it needs to be delegated possibly in a peer group. What does that mean? There are two people working together. And then you're giving tasks to one person and you're asking the other person to follow with that person. You're giving tasks to that person and the other person is following up. So that's a peer group. They will follow with each other. And the person A is supposed to do the task. Person B is supposed to follow up. And you talk to the person B, how's person A doing? And the person B says, oh, she's doing amazing. Great, good. And the person B forget to follow up and give you update, you talk to the person B. Makes sense? So now you are self-managing the company. Self-managing the company. Because this person, this peer group, they're managing themselves. You're just sitting around and imagining for the company. You're an Imagineer for the company. You're not an engineer for the company. You're an Imagineer for the company. So you're imagining for the company. You are like trying to figure out how else can I delegate resources? How else can I manage resources more effectively so we could grow? So every time, teach your managers to find somebody to do their job and train them to replace themselves. One more time. Your manager's job, their primary job, is to find another person under them so that that person can replace the manager. What? That's a horrible idea. Who will do that? People who are ambitious will do it. People who are capable will do it. You know what? You know why? Because if your manager is finding another manager under them, they'll be promoted to a senior manager. If they find another senior manager to be under them, they become a junior vice president. And then they become a senior vice president. Then they become a director or a C-level executive. Makes sense? So now, if you really want your company to succeed big time, teach your managers to find and mentor managers under them. That's when you have the freedom. Your managers will be free because they find these people, you could promote them, start scaling the company, going to the final point, which is measure your management team's next task addition. I call it as NTA. What is NTA? Next task addition is at any given year. If you look at it, the number of tasks in your life is increasing dramatically. What does that mean? It means 2010, you had this many tasks. 2011, this much. 2020, this much. 21, this much. 23, as I speak, this much. and it's getting uncontrollably large. Your to-do list is getting bigger. Everything is getting bigger. The things to do in family with the kids and everything. You had one kid, now you have 3 kids. You have 1 wife, you have 3 wives now. No, like if you're a Mormon especially. Yeah, so the point is that the number of things that you need to, I'm just talking, just messing with you. So the number of things that you need to do is increasing. The only way that I have seen people succeed in this place is by getting your managers to shrink their task by delegating to other people. In your case, I don't even need to tell you. If you want to succeed in your company, you need to be doing this. You need to be shrinking the number of tasks. Last year to this year, you should have lesser tasks. This year to next year, you should have lesser tasks. As your company is growing from 1 million to 10 million to 100 million to $1 billion, wherever you are, you need to be shrinking the task. You should have lesser and lesser and lesser things to do. You're like, oh my gosh, that's not possible. Absolutely possible. Like before Jeff Bezos resigned as a CEO of Amazon, this is something that we could learn from this guy. He did a lot of amazing things. One other thing is every day he was dropping his kids to school. And he'll come to the office at 10 o'clock and he said, I need to do only 3 things that day. 3 decisions. I sleep for 8 hours and I need to do only 3 things that day. 3 decisions. 3 of them are $1 billion decisions. That's going to affect Amazon 10 years from now. But that's what I'm getting paid for. If I sleep really good, then I could do amazing decision making. 3 decisions, that's it. That's all I need to do. Spend 3-4 hours in the office or maximum 6 hours in the office. He's done. You're getting paid for decision, not getting things done. You are getting paid. Say it to yourself. Put that in the chat too. You are getting paid for taking decisions, not for finishing tasks, not for finishing projects. Decisions. If you want to be a CEO, get tasks out of your world. If you want to be a real good CEO, get tasks out of your manager's world so that they are free to create and imagine and become an Imagineer with you. I'll talk to you next video. Bye.